Jealous sister ruined my baby shower by announcing fake paternity test results. I'm 30, my sister Minnie is 31. Growing up, she'd openly say she was jealous of me and didn't like me. It broke my heart because she was my only sister, and I loved and admired her. I always looked up to her and tried to get close, but she kept pushing me away. When she was in a good mood, she was an amazing sister, fun, creative, the whole package. But when we fought, she'd say awful things and even got physical, hitting, shoving, pulling my hair. I wanted to stay close, but it felt like she always hated me. Minnie was super outgoing and thrived in fashion and style. She loved experimenting with hair and getting tattoos. Our mom sent me to school a year early, so Minnie and I ended up in the same grade, which she hated. She saw me as competition, especially since I did better academically, consistently getting A's and B's while she mostly got C's and B's. Her strengths were in art, theater, cooking, sewing, and dance. I fell in love with the violin thanks to mom pushing me to learn an instrument, and I also got into French and Korean. Minnie was part of the school theater group, spending evenings rehearsing plays. But one time, she got kicked out after a fight. She found out her boyfriend was cheating with another girl in the group, so she beat her up and set her bag on fire. That incident got her expelled, and she had to repeat 11th grade at another school after our parents paid off the other girl's family. It tanked her relationship with our parents. My romantic relationships never lasted more than 6 months, and Minnie was always the reason. Every time I had a solid relationship, she'd sabotage it. One guy, Derek, I really liked, and things were getting serious. We were about to introduce each other to our parents. But the day before, he ghosted me, blocked my number, messages, Facebook, everything. Desperate, I showed up at his house uninvited to figure out what happened. Derek admitted Minnie had contacted him, warning him about me with made-up stories that painted me in a terrible light. She told him I was seeing other guys while dating him and even sent one of her friends to send him inappropriate pics to prove it. I was mortified. I tried explaining it was all lies, but Derek was confused. Why would my own sister lie like that? After a huge fight, Minnie finally admitted she did it out of jealousy, thinking I was too good for him. She didn't care that she'd ruined my relationship. That was a turning point for me. I realized if I wanted healthy relationships, I had to keep her at a distance. We both dreamed of studying abroad. Minnie had so much potential, but fear of the unknown led her to study computer science in our home country, following Dad's advice. Seeing that, I decided I didn't want my parents dictating my life choices. I worked hard to get a scholarship abroad but faced financial hurdles that kept me from going. So, I compromised and enrolled in a university at home, studying what I wanted. A year later, my drive to study abroad was still strong, and I finally landed a scholarship to start fresh overseas. My parents were sad to see me go. The night before I left, Minnie apologized for everything she'd done. I'm not sure what prompted it, maybe because I was moving so far away, leaving her alone with our parents. I didn't want drama, so I forgave her. Studying abroad changed me. I lost weight, met new people, found my style, and gained confidence. Graduation was a huge milestone, but the next year was tough as I struggled to find a job. Eventually, I landed a great one and settled into my new life. Meanwhile, Minnie finished her bachelor's at home. She told me she wanted to do a master's in the country where I was living, and I supported her. She applied for scholarships but kept getting rejected, which frustrated her. One time, she visited me for 10 days so I could show her around. She noticed I'd changed. When she made snarky comments about my clothes or hair, I just ignored her. It was weird how she tried to control what I wore or how I acted in public. If we went out to eat or if my friends came over, she'd say she didn't like them and that I should find better friends. Sometimes, I'd hang out with friends, and she'd get weirdly moody for no reason. When I showed her my workplace and how big my office was, she was shocked. I excitedly shared my career opportunities, but she went silent, not even happy for me. Instead, she shifted the conversation to herself, saying she wished she had my opportunities and regretting her past choices. Over dinner, she said she wanted to extend her trip and live with me. I knew I couldn't handle her constant judgment, so I politely told her she'd need to find her own place if she stayed because it was clear she had issues with me she wouldn't talk about. That set her off. She screamed that she was sick of me being in her life, that everyone always compared her to me, and that her achievements were never enough. I pointed out that she always made me feel less than. She snapped back that I wasn't special and could have done what I did if she'd had the same opportunities. I told her we had the same starting point, I just worked hard for my scholarship while she didn't, and somehow blamed me for it. That enraged her. She called me a spoiled brat and said she wished I'd never been born. Those words hit hard. I got up, locked myself in my room, and didn't come out. 2 days later, she left without apologizing. I could finally breathe again. I realized how much we'd both changed, and honestly, I started feeling some disgust toward her. Over time, I met my now husband, James, who works in the same field as me. We kept crossing paths through mutual friends who eventually introduced us. It was fun talking to someone who got my work, and I thought we'd just be friends. But he liked me and asked me out the next day. We dated for 2 years before he proposed. I got close with his family, who live in the same country, and he met my parents over video calls. We were planning our wedding when I got a job offer in my home country that paid double my current salary. James and I agreed it was a great opportunity, so I took it and moved back home. My parents adore James, and now my dad plays golf with him on Sundays. My career was thriving, and James soon found a job too. All this time, Minnie avoided me like the plague. She refused to meet with me and James, despite my parents' insistence, always making up random excuses. We hadn't spoken in ages, and honestly, I was fine with it. I was scared she'd try to sabotage my relationship with James like she did with others. A few months after moving back, James and I got married. We flew his parents and grandparents in for a small, cozy wedding with just family and close friends, followed by a short honeymoon since we were both swamped with work. We had the ceremony in my parents' huge backyard garden, which they loved. Grandparents, parents, siblings, and friends gave speeches, showering us with love. The only person missing was Minnie. She said she was sick and couldn't come. The food was amazing, we danced until midnight, and we had a blast. Then James and I jetted off for our honeymoon. A week after we got back, I was at my mom's showing her wedding photos when Minnie showed up. While I was telling Mom how happy everyone was at the wedding, Minnie cut in, asking if James and I were struggling financially. I laughed and said I now have a job that pays way better than before, and James is doing fine too. She smirked and said maybe that's not true since I got married in my parents' backyard. Mom defended me, saying there's nothing wrong with that since I wanted a low-key wedding. I agreed and told Minnie I appreciated her concern, but James and I aren't into flashy stuff despite our income because we prefer to be smart with money. That pissed her off. She accused me of bragging and lying about my salary. I shook my head and said I don't need to brag to her, adding that we're not kids anymore and she needs to grow up and stop making up stories about me. I said I was glad she didn't come to my wedding because of this. That sent her over the edge. She stormed out crying. Mom tried to smooth things over, but Minnie wasn't listening. Later, she told our grandparents and cousins I was glad she didn't come to the wedding and twisted our argument. I texted her an apology, but she didn't bother responding. Over the years, I kept my distance, though we had a few decent moments. James met her and instantly didn't like her because she kept mocking him. For example, we both love Disney movies, which Minnie thinks are boring, and she'd say James might not be manly enough. I was furious at her for that, and she later apologized to both of us. Minnie also told Mom she thought James was controlling my life. When Mom confronted her, Minnie said she just had a bad feeling about him. One day, when Mom and Minnie came over for lunch, Minnie shared that she was having issues with her boyfriend, Larry. Apparently, Larry moved in with her but lost his job 2 months later and hadn't worked or paid bills since. I firmly told her to kick him out since he wasn't contributing. Out of nowhere, she asked if I should kick James out since I earn more than him. I explained that while I do earn more, James brings in a solid income too and doesn't just sit around eating chips and playing video games. Mom backed me up, saying James sacrificed his career so I could take this high-paying job. Minnie got defensive, saying men should always earn more and that it's weird James is okay with our dynamic. I told her not every guy has a fragile ego like the one she dates and that James loves me for me. She didn't listen and later married Larry despite him being jobless. Larry had a bad temper, which we all saw at their wedding when he got drunk and started a fight with a waiter. Minnie and his brothers had to calm him down. It was super awkward, and I got a little scared for her, but I knew she'd never listen to me, so I stayed quiet. Over time, I noticed Minnie and Larry's fights got worse. He'd kick her out during arguments, and she'd crash at our parents' place. They were worried about her, but she refused to talk. One day, we learned from Larry's mom that Minnie had apparently cheated on him with a coworker. They had a huge fight but decided to try saving their marriage with couples therapy. This year, I found out I was pregnant. James and I were over the moon. My parents congratulated us, thrilled to become grandparents, and promised to help every step of the way. When Minnie heard about my pregnancy, she asked what names we liked. James and I had discussed a few but didn't want to share with her because I knew how judgmental she could be. I firmly said no and told her we'd announce the name after the baby was born and we'd officially chosen it. She insisted it was a terrible idea, saying we should discuss names with family to pick the best one. I shut her down, saying it's our kid, and we'll name them what we want. When it came time for my baby shower, I asked Mom to plan it since I'm not big on organizing. I also asked her to tell everyone not to bring gifts since we didn't know the baby's gender yet. I just wanted to hang with friends I hadn't seen in a while and learn about motherhood. On the day of the shower, Mom did an amazing job inviting only my close friends, just as I wanted. I was having a blast catching up when Minnie showed up in a future godmother t-shirt. My jaw dropped because there was no way I'd make her my kid's godmother. It was awkward since she kept telling everyone how excited she was to be a godmother without even talking to me first. As the party wrapped up, Mom invited James, Dad, and Larry to join us for the gender reveal. When James and I cut the cake, we were thrilled to learn we're having a boy. I was tearing up, and my friends were hugging me. But then Minnie stood up, said she had something important to share, and held up a document. With a super serious face, she announced that I'd supposedly done a paternity test a few days ago, and it showed James wasn't the father. She dramatically claimed the results pointed to someone else. The room went dead silent. James, visibly upset, turned to me and asked what was going on and if it was true. I shook my head and stared at Minnie, waiting for her to explain herself. Mom demanded to know what the hell she was doing and why she'd make up something so ridiculous. She snatched the papers from Minnie and immediately noticed my name wasn't even on them as the mother. Minnie started laughing, admitting she'd downloaded a fake paternity test online to prove a point. She said she wanted to expose James as an abuser. Everyone was stunned. I asked if she was out of her mind. James has never even raised his voice at me, let alone abused me. She doubled down, saying no man could be happy if his partner earns more, and she'd long suspected James was controlling me. She gave random examples and said James got mad when she announced the fake test. I yelled that he was upset because she publicly humiliated me by claiming our kid wasn't his. I said James has never degraded me or kicked me out of our home, and maybe she's projecting her own issues onto me. Her face turned red with embarrassment. I kept going, saying I was sick to death of her jealousy and how disgusting it was that she turned my baby shower into a circus. I told everyone she's always done this, like lying to my exes about me. Minnie stood there, humiliated. Mom told her she'd gone too far this time. Suddenly, Larry, who'd been quiet, stood up in the awkward silence and handed Minnie some papers. To everyone's shock, he said their couple's therapy didn't work, and he realized they were toxic for each other. He'd been planning to give her divorce papers that night but decided to do it now since she loves drama. He said he was done with it and walked out. The room was frozen. Minnie stood there, stunned, holding the divorce papers. Her attempt to ruin my baby shower backfired spectacularly. Instead of having the last laugh, her marriage imploded. The joyful vibe turned heavy as everyone processed what happened. I'd had enough and asked James to take me home. He agreed immediately. I hugged Mom goodbye, and she promised to call later. Minnie tried to apologize, but I didn't even look at her. As you can imagine, everyone's still in shock. People have been calling to check on me, and some said Minnie broke down crying after I left. My parents kicked her out, refusing to hear her excuses. I feel bad for her. She's lost me, our parents, and her husband. I feel a tiny bit guilty for calling her out in front of everyone, but it felt justified in the moment. Was I wrong for exposing her jealousy after she tried that fake paternity test stunt? Let me know in the comments, and please break it down with some reasoning. Update 1: 1 month later I talked to my parents about Minnie, and we agreed it's best to cut her off completely. She shows no remorse and is now telling everyone I caused a huge scene over her prank and brought up her past in front of Larry, which she claims led to their divorce. Larry spoke to my parents and apologized for how he treated Minnie in the past. He said he kicked her out during fights not because he was abusive but because she'd hit him, punched and kicked him in the face and he felt unsafe. He showed photos of a broken nose and bruises. It was a shock since I always thought Larry was the problem. Thankfully, he loved her enough not to press charges, or she'd be in jail. Their relationship was clearly toxic, and honestly, I'm glad they're divorcing. My parents told Minnie they don't want her at their house anymore. She cried, but Mom was so pissed about the baby shower that she let her have it and said they'd get a restraining order if she came near me or my kid. Minnie refused help and said our parents are unfair for favoring me. I've blocked her everywhere, and so has James. We've installed security cameras at our house, and if she shows up, I'm calling the cops. Update 2: 8 months later I'm thrilled to share that I recently gave birth to a baby boy. Pregnancy was tough, but I'm overjoyed our little guy is here. We named him Alex. I can't believe I'm a mom. Our house is full of his giggles and cries, and James and I are adjusting to parenthood while loving every second. My parents are helping daily as I settle into this new role, and James's parents are flying in next month. Minnie hasn't bothered us. The last I heard, she and Larry finalized their divorce, and she moved to another city, maybe to start over. It's sad my sister isn't in my life anymore, but as a mom, I have to protect my son. Let me know what you think of this wild story in the comments. Thanks for watching till the end. Check out our other videos linked here, and hit that subscribe button. More crazy stories are coming.